Bill 942 could change when you pay child support, and it could be sooner than you think. The bill requires a child's father to pay retroactive child support starting from the baby's conception date. It's a controversial topic that father and business owner Michael Ball feels passionate about.
I feel like she's carrying the baby, he's responsible for the baby. Doctor's appointments, all that comes into play. Both parties should be held accountable to bring that child into the world.
Members of the Texas Senate passed the bill on Wednesday with a vote of 27-4. This bill is making sure both parents play a role in supporting the child before birth and covering medical care expenses, which can be expensive. Attorney Anthony Robles at Robles Family Law Firm has been practicing law for 18 years and deals with child support cases daily. He says child support is a lifeline that parents need to take care of their children.
The obligation to support a kid doesn't start when the baby's born. The mother incurs extra expenses when she's bearing your child, when she's creating your child.
Well, people, the moment of truth. Man, it's Friday. Happy Friday. April 11th of 2025, 1:25 in the PM. Unto us a child was born. Ain't that what the Bible say? That's what the Bible say. Unto us. Love, peace, joy, serenity. Wow. To keep the kingdom going, to magnify the Lord. Train a child in the direction that he or she will go. And my word is not going to depart. But when all this went down, when God created Adam and blew the breath of life into him and blessed him with Eve, did God ever conceive that a union would be dissolved by a myriad of circumstances? And now the law has to step in and try to make it beneficial for that which was born. I am Franchai Pearson. I'm going to do this video, you see, because this is a big thing in America and around the world. Depending on what neck of the woods you're in, hey, you go by what the law. But in Texas, they just passed something new. Retroactive child support. I can hear a lot of folks say, I don't know if I'm going to Texas. Man, woo! You get pregnant in Texas, ching ching. That's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, how do you think? I'm not trying to cause a controversy here on this channel. We got 50 states. But I do believe that child support does start from the moment of conception. Once a woman finds out she's pregnant, and hey, it's yours, and the DNA test is accurate and all that good stuff. If she hasn't been out there with multiple partners, then hey, it takes two to make it work, right? Take two to tango. In the biblical sense, it shouldn't be done anyway until you're married, but we live in that type of world where these issues have to be addressed, and I'm sure I'm talking to a lot of parents right now. Either females have the child full-time, or the male has the child full-time, or it's a split, or it's 75-25, or it's 90-10. That is in terms of being with them. But in terms of finance, man, some of these guys been getting away with, and some of these ladies been getting away with stuff. So hey, again, I'm not trying to cause no controversy, but what do you think? Now that the law is put in place, making it retroactive, I think, if anything, it starts something which I'm sure will make a person think, do I want to have this intercourse? Do I want to have this intercourse without protection? Or should I have it second doubts at all about having intercourse? Because see, man, I'm just not in a financial position to do this. Let's proceed. Texas is beginning to implement automatic child support payments with a new bill requiring retroactive payments starting from the conception date. This means that the fathers will be responsible for child support expenses incurred even before the child's birth. Even before the child's birth. Fellas, additionally, a significant portion of child support payments are made through wage withholding, automatically deducted from the paycheck. So hey, if you don't act right, they can garnish your check, right? And that could be a serious ticket. Man, like I said, I'm sure I'm talking to a lot of folks who've been in this situation, but Texas is not playing. Let's read. Texas Senate passes bill requiring retroactive child support from date of conception, okay? A pivotal development in family law has just happened within the Texas Senate. They have passed a bill requiring child support obligations to begin from the date of child's conception, rather than from birth. Wow, this proposed change could have a major impact on both parents involved in child support procedures, especially when it comes to financial responsibilities during pregnancy. Enacting legislation that requires fathers to pay child support from the moment of conception would significantly help single mothers who bear financial burdens relative to pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum care. Some may argue that extending child support back to conception is ineffective because it might not fully cover all maternity expenses or could distract from broader efforts to lower healthcare costs. However, the key issue here is fairness and justice. Fairness and justice. Fathers have a responsibility to support mothers and their children regardless of their personal willingness or ability to be involved in their child's life. Mothers and children have a corresponding right recognized by law and social custom to expect fathers to fulfill their obligations. There was a song out, I want to say about 40 years ago. Who was that song? It says, I think it was the Temptations. Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. You guys remember that? Papa was a rolling stone. Let me see. Papa was a rolling stone, Temptations. Y'all remember that? Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And when he died, wow, all he left us was alone. It's deep. I remember blasting that record back in the day. 1972. Woo, 57 years ago. Papa was a rolling stone. Wow. People, it's a new day. Now ask yourself, is this coming about in relation to the push of Trump and family? Think about it. Look at that time, and it's impeccable. Do you think this is the moment where this couldn't get done, or the atmosphere wasn't applauding this type of legislation under Joe Biden? But definitely this can be brought up during the Trump era. I would argue and say yeah. And I would also argue and say there are more things coming down the pipe in terms of family. And frankly, that's why I pushed for Trump. And frankly, that's why I said we're only going to get 25% of what we need out of Trump. The 75% we don't, you see what's going on, right? Look, people, you got to get in the process to make it work. But I digress. How do you feel? What's going on in your state? from conception? Should this be the law in all 50 states? I mean, you got a lot of bastard children out here. You got folks out here. Yeah, I watched the video. Let me see if I can pull this up. I watched the video about a guy who wasn't involved in his child's life until a year later. And now he wants to get back and he want to work out something amicable. And he's already paying $800 a month in child support, but he only makes $24,000 a year. Can you imagine only making $24,000 a year, paying $800 a month in child support? And the woman is like, look, he wasn't around for a year. I need him to pony up. But check this out.
I'm child. Okay, if we were to break down
That
what
he knows of. Let's just go ahead and
Well,
put that.
how will you know?
Well, he knocked me up and left for a year. So, I mean, there might be some other women out
Wait a
there
minute, in
that may
fairness,
not be able to count how many partners they've been with, but I know it was his kid.
All right, folks, here's a wild one. Dustin's been missing from his kids' lives for nearly a year. Now he suddenly wants back in. But here's the catch. He can't afford child support. Instead, he offers to pay for daycare. Sounds fair, right? Not to Sarah. She's demanding child support and daycare, arguing that Dustin's been absent too long to get a break. It's no secret the system often favors moms, but will the court agree with her this time, or will common sense prevail? And give Dustin a shot at doing the right thing?
Miss or Mrs. Cheney? Mrs. Cheney.
Remarried.
You brought this case before the court. What's going on?
So, we were friends.
They got together after work, went to the bar, had too many drinks, she got pregnant, he disappeared for a year. That's a true story, that's what she said. And he didn't disagree. I watched the whole video. The bottom line is that so far, you watch the end of the video, I'll put in a link, he's gotta continue to pay the $800 a month because he's been quote unquote conveniently paying it, but I don't think he likes that. But either way, this is one of those cases. I don't know what state this is in, but hey, can you imagine paying $800 some a month? And that's what he's been doing. But hey, you know, he doesn't have a place of his own. He shares it with other people and they split the food, the rent, and utilities. And $800 a month with a $24,000 check, that's over half your check. Wow, it's deep. Now getting back to this here. Under current law in Texas, courts can order a parent, usually the non-custodial parent, to pay retroactive child support. However, this typically only dates back to the birth of the child. The amount of duration of retroactive support is left to the discretion of the judge based on what is deemed reasonable and in the best interest of the child. The newly passed bill seeks to shift that starting point back to the child's conception. This means that a father could be held financially responsible for not only the child's needs after birth, but also for the costs associated with pregnancy, including prenatal care and related medical expenses. However, this might be able to be rebutted in certain cases. For example, the father can demonstrate that he was unaware of the pregnancy and did not attempt to avoid responsibility. A court may consider that in deciding whether to reduce or eliminate the retroactive support. If you are a lawyer, speak up on this channel. If you are a woman who went through it, speak up. If you are a guy who went through this, speak up. How do you think? Man, let's listen to one of the, we have Texas Senate passes huge bill to require, this is one of the sessions they have, Senate Bill 942. I think this is still keyed up. Let me see if I can get this to play.
Responsibility that the mom is bearing doesn't begin at birth, but starts months before that.
And while I agree with you on that, I think we also agree on the free exercise of religion, correct?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Definitely. Yes, Senator.
So how does this square with Judaism, which believes that life begins at first breath?
Well, Senator, I would say if the purpose of our child support system is to make sure that both parents are sharing in those responsibilities, and the mom who's obviously physically bearing the child, that the mom isn't left without help. And so I don't think it's a matter of dispute that expenses and medical care and those needs arise before birth, and this recognizes that.
But this bill is creating an obligation to the mother or to the child?
Well, Senator, that's a great point. This makes sure that the mother is taking care of prenatal care and postnatal care. Most of this, the framework that Senator Menendez and Senator Hinojosa were talking about, and you know, that framework already exists. We're just clarifying that the mom has already had some need for help before the birth takes place.
Do parents start stocking?
Sounds logical. That sounds logical. Again, what do you think, people? I might have popped the cork on a sensitive topic here, but you know, every now and then I do delve into these type of things. I mean, it's part of life. I mean, sometimes people do break up. I get it. And sometimes people change. I get it. And sometimes the unexpected happens. Yet it's still a blessing from God because it is a child. It is that miracle that has a right to the best care possible. And then I think it's fair that a child be taken care of from the time they take that. I mean, once you find out 2-3 weeks that the mother's pregnant, hey, do what you got to do. I believe as a society, as we become more responsible, guess what? Society becomes better. That's what I feel. If you're going through it financially, have you been to court? Were you a deadbeat dad? Be honest. How did it affect your conscience when you was a deadbeat dad? If you weren't a deadbeat dad, how did it feel that you took care of your financial responsibility? And do you think at that point, men in general around the United States and the world, from your experience, you say, look, it makes a better society. Well, I'm Franchot Pearson. I could talk about this thing for a while because, like you, I grew up with a lot of people who went through this. It ain't easy, and it's not a one size fit all. But I think Texas is on the right track. And I think all 50 states should be like that. And it should have been done. Thank you. You guys have a great day. And remember, the most precious child of all was the birth of Jesus. Somebody say hallelujah.